Coming up, we head north to visit breweries both in and around the Adirondack Park, from Lake Placid to Lake George and a little something in between. There's a season and a craft beer for everyone on this episode of Brewed in New York.
Discover even more local foods and beverages at Taste New York locations throughout the state. Whether you're at a state park, sporting event, or stopping at one of our New York welcome centers, it's never been easier to choose local and buy New York. Unilam, a family-owned business in upstate New York serving the building industry for over a century. You can spot Unilam's finely crafted timber products in breweries throughout New York State and beyond. Learn more at unilam.com. 1886 Malt House, proudly partnering with New York's finest grain growers to produce locally sourced, high-quality malt for farm and craft breweries. The Northeast Hop Alliance, farmers, brewers, and educators working together to provide high-quality, locally grown hops to craft beer consumers in New York and the Northeast.
When people talk about New York State, they often divide it into two regions, upstate and downstate. Downstate is, of course, New York City, but what do you consider upstate?
White Plains. Poughkeepsie?
Keep going.
Albany.
Not even close. According to the natives of the North Country, you haven't arrived at upstate until you've reached Adirondack Park and Champlain Valley. And far from the concrete jungle that defines downstate, this northernmost region of New York contains the largest protected forest this side of the Mississippi, the Adirondack Park. At 6 million acres, it's larger than many New England states. There are over 10,000 ponds and lakes, and 46 mountains over 4,000 feet, known as the High Peaks. But just because it's protected doesn't mean it's uninhabited. The Adirondacks are a unique public and private partnership with about 130,000 year-round residents. And with over 10 million visitors annually, the Adirondacks are truly a nature lover's paradise.
And of course, relaxing in nature goes hand in hand with craft beer. So let's begin our North Country tour with a visit to Lake George and a brewery that adopted its name from the place it calls home. I'm so lucky to be in beautiful Lake George in the height of summer. This amazing destination has beaches, boat rides, tons of family fun, and a brew pub that embodies the spirit of the region. You'd never know by looking at it, but under the rustic exterior, this beauty began life as a humble grocery store. Today, the Adirondack style is on full display both inside and out. Outside, guests can enjoy their beer in the cool mountain air just a stone's throw from the waters of Lake George. Inside the pub is a mosaic of Adirondack artifacts and ephemera from across the region, much of which was contributed by staff and people from around the community. Adirondack Pub and Brewery was founded by John Carr. John first opened the doors of the Brew Pub in 1999, and while you might assume a brew pub located in a vacation hotspot would be a runaway hit, it wasn't quite so easy. Now, what brings you from brewing beer at home to then opening a brew pub?
My girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, was from Lake George, and so I'd come over here to visit her. And I looked around and thought, well, this is a beautiful place. So I thought, why not? There's no brew pub here, there's no brewery, why not try it? At that time, New York State was, I would say, a little bit behind the curve on craft beer, but luckily there were enough people around that recognized great beer and came out just enough to support us, and thank God we had a good hamburger, and I could keep doing what I was passionate about, which was brewing beer. It's fun to see it actually come around from where we started, where people weren't really sure what this stuff was. It used to just be, oh, well, yeah, they brew their own beer and it's kind of a novelty, to people planning vacations around visiting regions in New York that have great beer. So, you know, not only can you vacation in the Lake George region, but you can visit 50 different craft beverage producers all in a weekend.
This area, it is unique, it is beautiful. How has that influenced the taste of the beer?
A couple things that are unique with our beer. Our water source is actually Lake George itself. It's one of 4 AA rated lakes in New York State, which is the highest rating that the DEC gives to lakes. And it's a great water to brew with. So it allows us to produce really soft beers, you know, like our Pilsners, similar to beers that are famous around the world, you know, from the Czech Republic or from Germany.
Well, this place has a lot of personality to it. There's little touches everywhere. It seems like there's little stories everywhere.
Yeah, it's, you know, a little bit myself, my staff, you know, and I think when you've been around a long time, there's just, it gets a culture in it. Everyone that works here is very passionate about what we do, and I think that comes through in, you know, a little gregarious, a little fun, a little open arms kind of grab it and go kind of approach, and a lot of our customers fit that too.
So the people who kept the brewery going in those early years have stuck around and helped infuse some local character into the pub. Some of these folks are descendants of loggers, miners, and trappers who helped define the region's history. One of the area's legendary figures had a famous taste for beer, and now one of their signatures, a Belgian triple, is named after him at the pub.
French Louis was a French trapper that lived in the Adirondacks. Very successful trapper and would make a lot of money on pelts, bring it to town once a year, go down to a local bar, drink a ton, and then he'd go to a local store and buy a ton of candy and walk around town, give it away to all the kids. And then he'd go back in the woods for another year.
The brewery prides itself on offering a deep menu with a wide variety of styles. But if you'd like to take home a case of Adirondack beer for your barbecue, you might have to visit the restaurant, or at a minimum, one of the local grocery stores. John's philosophy on distribution is that bigger isn't necessarily better.
I like to know who I sell my beer to. I also believe that local fresh beer is the best beer that you can buy. And I think for consumers today, where it seems like everything comes from the internet, to actually go to a local brewery and have local beer, know the person that made it, where it was made, and know that it's real, to me, I think is really where our industry is going.
Now, this place offers beer and food all year round.
We're one of the few places that are open in Lake George in the winter. The off-season here, to be quite honest, is my favorite time of year. We have a couple of pretty unique events. We do an ice bar, and we also do a barrel fest. You know, other brewery friends that have good barreling programs, which is where you age the beer in the actual wood barrel, bring those beers out. As a brewery owner, they make no sense to make on a business level, but they're fun beers and they age for a while and they're very unique and rare. It's neat for a visitor to that event to go around and try the different styles of barreled beer that different breweries locally are producing. And they can vary quite a bit. And there's a lot of artisan components to how we're doing it. We all start with the same ingredients and with a different result.
We decided to check it out for ourselves. So fast forward several months later, and we were standing with a few hundred hardy beer lovers in the freezing cold to see what all the fuss was about. We caught up with John as he was putting the finishing touches on a giant Burning Man-inspired bonfire. And it's a good thing too, because even though there wasn't much snow, the temperature was a balmy 8 degrees.
This festival is a lot different because it's outdoors and it doesn't matter rain or shine. We've had years we've had, you know, a foot of snow. We've had years where it's been 20 below zero. You know, today started out at 5 degrees. So what happens, the people that come to this event are real beer lovers. This event's unique because those beers are appreciated and sought out here. And I think the brewers appreciate that the people that visit are really into what they're doing and appreciate and respect the art of barrel aging.
And I'd say that pretty much sums up the opinions of the attendees as well.
It was great to come out and check out the barrel-aged beers today.
The beer is worth the cold weather.
The price is great for all the different beers you get to experience.
You can sit home and watch TV, or you can come up here and meet some people from different areas like I did today.
So the next time you're looking for a change of scenery and some fantastic craft beer, come to Lake George any time of year. Just remember your bathing suit, parka, pink Carhartt, or Viking beard, and be prepared for a unique Adirondack experience.
During the 20th century, small breweries nearly disappeared across New York State. And that decline was mirrored by the disappearance of the small family farm. But in the 21st century, as demand for local produce has increased, a new generation of brewers and farmers has emerged to meet demand. And in the small hamlet of Keysville, on the banks of Lake Champlain, two brothers have tapped into this growing movement.
I'm Dan Badger. I'm co-owner of Ausable Brewing Company with my brother Dylan.
We've been on the property for about 6 years now. We took an old barn and rebuilt it from the ground up. We built this pavilion so that we had more public space, keep people dry on bad days. And now we're finally putting an expansion off the back of the building that's just production space. There were a lot of people that thought we were crazy to start a brewery where we did. There have been a few businesses that have gone into this old barn, didn't really do much. I think a lot of people thought it was neat that we were doing it, but didn't really expect it to make it.
We were in Vermont, and Vermont has this huge beer culture, a huge local agriculture movement going already. We saw the potential on this side of the lake. There's a lot of good farmland, a lot of young farmers starting new operations. We're all kind of working together to help create a movement here. You even see it in our logo. We have both the shovel and the mash paddle.
We do grow some of our own hops, and we grow some fruits. We grow elderberries, we grow black currants, and some other things that we use, especially in our Belgian lambics that we do. It's been amazing to do this with my younger brother. We know that we can depend on each other. We might get annoyed with each other, but at the end of the day, it's blood.
There's no one I trust more than him. We've kind of just divided it so that he's got certain things he does weekly and I've got certain things I do weekly.
We switch off. One week is my week to brew, the next week's my brother's week to brew.
We're very cautious to even have another employee come in and start working in the brew house because we're both so anal about how we like to run the brewery. And we definitely disagree on stuff, but there's love there and we come back to it at the end of the day with no hard feelings, for the most part.
So we opened August 30th, 2014. We built a parking lot. It was enough room for about 12 cars, and we were pretty proud of it, built it ourselves.
The first parking lot we built was too small by week 3.
We were just overrun with people. We had people parking along the roads in both directions. And then that whole next summer, we were just seeing bigger and bigger crowds each week. Today's Thursday, which is the first day of our week being open to the public. We're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's also our busiest day. Mace Chasm Farm, they have a food truck and they were doing Taco Thursdays just at their farm. And so as soon as we opened the brewery, it just seemed obvious that Taco Thursdays should move to the brewery. And so it just became a thing right away. And we now have food every day of the week. Friday's barbecue night, Saturday we have a crepe truck, and everybody kind of shows up at once at like 6, 7 o'clock. It's insane. We try to have live music every night.
You'll see 20 kids running around, families laying down on blankets, a bunch of dogs, everyone from 25-year-old kids to 75-year-old people that have been living here their whole lives. And it's really exciting for us to see just all those different people coming out to our brewery and, you know, see our lawn just filled with 200 people sometimes. That's what Dan and I wanted from the beginning, and it really came to fruition here.
We're only producing about 10 kegs at most a week. And so obviously that's not sustainable. So the way that we make it work is to get ahead in the winter.
We're closed to the public from January through the end of April, but that whole time we're still brewing in the back, and a lot of that time is also spent doing barrel-aged series, and that's when we do more of our sours and Brettanomyces beers. We're both really psyched about the Wayne Legitsky that came out last year. Just a really flavorful, juicy, mosaic dry hopped pale ale. It's one of those beers that IPA drinkers love and non-IPA drinkers love because it's got a ton of that hop flavor and aroma without much bitterness at all.
Next week we're gonna roll one out. It's a strawberry rhubarb lambic. That's a fun one.
We're happy with where our business is and where it's going, and we definitely see it being a profitable thing for ourselves as long as we grow organically and don't get in over our heads. When you don't owe that much and you're paying it off without a problem, you might be working hard, but keeps the stress levels low, which keeps us happy.
We're not trying to get our product onto shelves in supermarkets. We're not trying to take over taps in bars. We're really focused on getting people to come here and seek out our beer in our scene. And it's our atmosphere as well as the quality of our product that's really led to our success.
Craft 101.
Water is water, right? drink again. Water profiles are as varied as the geography from which they flow. And because beer is about 90% water, the quality of the water is enormously important to the brewing process. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of chemistry we can get into here about positive and negative ions and stuff, but I'm gonna try and break it down to the basics for you. As you know, beer has been around for thousands of years, thankfully. And back in the day, brewers would allow the natural qualities of the water in their region to influence the type of beer they brewed. For instance, the water of Pilsen, where Pilsner originated, is soft and very low in mineral content, which happens to be the ideal water profile for light beer. Dublin water has high alkaline content, which is well suited for darker beers like stouts. Any famous ones come to mind? And the water of Burton-on-Trent, the birthplace of our beloved IPAs, has a high proportion of dissolved salts from the gypsum and the surrounding hills, which lends itself to more happy recipes. This is all making a little too much sense. These days, brewers want to experiment with a wide range of beer styles, and who could blame them? But because of this, they need to have a solid knowledge of their water profile and how it interacts with the ingredients they're using. Today's brewers know just how much calcium, sulfate, and chloride are in their water, and how these minerals affect enzymatic activities and flavor balance. Wow, who knew chemistry class would prove so valuable later in life?
Sampling craft beer and learning about different styles is a lot of fun, but traveling to breweries requires some planning. Join up with a bus tour, share a ride, or identify a designated driver. Never get behind the wheel after a tasting. Stay safe.
The last stop on our tour is a town known for handing out medals, Lake Placid. And in honor of its gold medal heritage, Matt visited a pair of breweries that have been racking up some awards of their own.
Today I'm in the village of Lake Placid, two-time site of the Winter Olympics. This town is famous for intense chilly weather sports like skiing, sledding, and snowboarding, but it's pretty chill here in the summer too. In fact, the icon of the region, the Adirondack chair, is a symbol of the relaxation people feel when they immerse themselves in this natural wonderland. So it's fitting that it also appears in the logo of Lake Placid Pub and Brewery, two-time winner of the best brewery in New York State. Let's check it out. Lake Placid Pub and Brewery was founded in 1996 by Christopher Erickson and a college friend. Chris had worked as a brewer in Maine and Vermont before striking out on his own. When he decided to open his brew pub, he was drawn to the special atmosphere of Lake Placid. What are some of your favorite things about Lake Placid?
I think there's a big sense of community here in Lake Placid. There's only 2,500 residents. We all know each other, and most importantly, it's just beautiful. When we have a day off, you get to hike a mountain or go on a lake or go skiing or whatever it is. It's kind of like paradise here.
And you have all sorts of athletes coming here because this is still a place for winter athletes to train, right?
We do. We still have World Cup luge. We have World Cup bobsled every year. Athletes come here to train for aerial skiing, and then they come in here as patrons. You know, so people who are winning gold medals, you might know them because they come in and they have beers.
So Ubu Ale is your flagship beer.
Yes.
I see posters and signs for it all over the place.
It was named after a patron's chocolate lab. A guy who used to come into the bar all the time, had a 140-pound chocolate lab. So everyone in town knew Ubu the dog.
What does that taste like?
It has kind of a dark fruit flavor to it, kind of figs, raisins, that kind of stuff. Actually has a decent amount of hops in it as well. The hops kind of balance out the sweetness. So you end up with kind of this nice balance. It's a little bit hoppy, it's a little bit bitter, it's a little bit bitter from the malt, it's a little bit bitter from the hops.
We're sitting here in the pub on the second floor. It's a pretty amazing space. Can you tell me about the 3 different floors?
Yeah, this whole building has kind of evolved over time. It started out as a personal residence way back when, and then it turned into a boarding house. In 1979, someone took the basement floor and turned it into a bar called P.J. O'Neill's. So it opened right before the '80 Olympics. Everyone, when we moved into town, said, don't change P.J. O'Neill's, we love P.J. So we were able to keep the character downstairs. The second floor here is more of the typical brew pub kind of thing. Bar in the middle, tables, we have college pennants all over the walls. People will bring them in and put them up, or they'll come in and they'll try to find their college. Third floor, when we were renovating, we wanted to make that different as well. It's a little bit more of a dining area. There also is a kids' room up there, which was my wife's idea. I wanted to put a pool table in it, but she decided different. Then we also have patios on both the second floor and the third floor. So the second floor, we have a bunch of dining tables. The third floor, we have what I call the green monster seats. So we have a bar with about 10 stools, beautiful view of Mirror Lake. Look over to the left, see the 1980 rink where the Miracle on Ice happened. It's one of my favorite spots to be.
To get a behind-the-scenes look at the brewery, Chris took me through a small labyrinth of halls and staircases. Every floor seems so cozy that it's deceiving how much production capacity is buried inside the building. Every inch of usable space has been put to good use.
And then this is our brew house in here. 7-barrel brew house has served us well over all of these years. Brew kettle, the mash tun here, hot liquor back, which is a pompous name for a hot water heater.
And that wasn't all. Before we could even settle into our Adirondack chairs, Chris was already telling me about another project. I understand you have another location, a newer spot, still right in town.
We do. We decided we weren't busy enough here. It's called Big Slide Brewery and Public House just down the road. We can go check it out if you'd like.
I would love to.
That's great. Brewer, Kevin Litchfield.
How you doing?
Kevin, this is Matt.
Good to meet you, Kevin.
Welcome.
I love seeing barrels like this right as I walk in. How many barrels do you have right now?
We have 18 barrels here, which are all clean bourbon barrels, and we have 6 other barrels back in our funk room, which are housing various microbes, wild fermentation stuff.
So this is the guy to give me a tour of this place?
Yeah, he'll take good care of you.
I'd love to check out Big Slide.
Great.
Kevin Litchfield has been working for Chris for nearly 20 years and was deeply involved with the design of the new brewery. Your first glance will tell you that Big Slide is a very different animal. Instead of going for the cozy feel of the Brew Pub in Lake Placid, they opted to go for a much more open and contemporary feel. It's all about transparency, from the kitchen to the brewery. The menu is different too. Here it's all about daring combinations, like the Dirty Elvis, a sandwich made with bananas, peanut butter, and bacon. Kevin assured me that the beer they were making here was just as edgy as the menu, so I pried myself away from the kitchen to check out the brewery. So this, let me guess, is your funk room.
This is our funk room, yes.
What does that mean?
Basically, we've isolated this room from the rest of the brewery, and we've inoculated these barrels with a blend of various microbes that will basically sour the beer and create some funky flavors in the beer, sort of wild fermentation.
That's something you really need to keep those microbes in there, because if they were to get out, you'd have a whole brewery of sour beer.
True, and we want to keep some of our beers clean. So basically, we keep this room separated. We have a separate set of equipment for everything in this room, and the brewers go in there at the end of the day and do their work when they don't need to go back into the clean side of the brewery. We also put a lab in this place so that we can test to make sure that the microbes that are in this room stay in that room and they don't creep out into the cleaner side of the brewery.
Have any beers been finished from inside the funk room?
We've done one release out of this room. It was a Brett Saison that we released about 2 months ago.
Wow. For a brewery this far out in the wilderness, Kevin is taking a really ambitious approach. He took me back over to the restaurant side so he could talk me through his funky creation. Wow, that is an attractive beer. Amazing clarity, gorgeous color.
So there's still a living Brett culture in this beer, so it continues to change the flavors of the beer the more you age it. We have some of these put away that will age for up to 2 years and pull out and drink at some of our special events we do.
Ooh, that smells really good, man.
So you get the Brett right up front, the farmhouse aromas right up front.
But I'm also getting some like rounded fruit in there.
Absolutely.
Almost like apple I'm getting.
Sure, yep.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Wow.
Fairly dry.
Yeah, it finishes dry. I love that fruitiness right in the middle of my palate there. My gosh, that is delicious.
Right. Every time I try it, it gets better.
Yeah, so the last time you tried this was months ago.
It was probably 4 months ago I opened the last bottle of this. We did a limited release to start, and it sold very, very quickly. We put a number of bottles away to age so that we can learn how it changes over time. And it's doing really well. I mean, it's becoming a little bit more mellow. The carbonation is calming down a little bit. And like you said, it brings out this tart fruit flavor that's very nice, and some farmhouse flavors in the background as well.
Wow, this is an amazing introduction to Brettanomyces for people who hadn't tried it before. Kevin, it was great to meet you. Thank you for the tour. Thanks for chatting with me, and thank you for sharing these amazing beers.
It was a pleasure having you here. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm standing here in front of the namesake of Big Slide Brewery, the huge Olympic ski jump. This is a beautiful area, and I just barely begun to scratch the surface. I can't wait to come back. And when I do, I know exactly where I'm gonna go for some great beer. Till then, cheers.
That's all the time we have for this episode of Brewed in New York. We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
If you'd like to learn more about our show, you can visit our website, brewedinNewYorkshow.com, to find out more about these breweries and many others across the state.
Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.